and welcome to the Green New Perspective Spotlight. Can you tell me a bit more about yourself and the company GHGSat?
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. So GHGSat is a company that was founded in 2011 with the ambition to monitor greenhouse gas emissions directly from industrial sources using satellites. So up until then, satellites had looked at greenhouse gases on a global scale, on a regional scale to inform climate science, but it had never been done at the facility level. So that was the ambition. And the motivator for this was the establishment of a carbon trading system between the state of California in the US and the province of Quebec, where GHGSat is located in Canada. So the realization came that if we're going to trade carbon credits like this, well, there's going to be a need to measure carbon very accurately. So our founder and CEO, Stéphane, looked at the state of affairs for measuring greenhouse gases, realized that their methods to measure were few and far between. They were very costly. And worst of all, they were quite inaccurate. So there was a need for a different solution. His background was in the space business. It was a natural fit to look at doing this for the first time to try to solve this challenge, solve this riddle. It took 5 years to launch the first satellite. First satellite launched in 2016 after a design phase and construction phase for the satellite. And this satellite proved that this could indeed be done. So we had some amazing results from it. Of course, we learned a lot of lessons as well, so made improvements to the design. And now we have 12 of these satellites in orbit, 11 of them to measure methane emissions from sectors like oil and gas, coal mining, and landfills. And last November, we also launched our first CO2 satellite. So we work with industry and governments using this data to inform them about emissions directly from sites so they can be addressed, and also so that regulators can better understand what's going on their territories.
Can you share a success story?
Well, we've had many very interesting success stories over the years, but one of my favorite ones lately happened in the UK. We were working together with the University of Leeds researchers there to look at a landfill in part of the UK near a town called Cheltenham, and we were doing this through a European Space Agency program called Third Party Mission, TPM. So our data was being provided to University of Leeds through that program. And in that imagery, there were no emissions at that time at the landfill, but a detection was noticed nearby, and it was very unusual. It seemed to be in the middle of nowhere a little bit. It was near a railroad. That was a little bit puzzling. We worked with the University of Leeds to overlay maps of pipelines in the area, realized that a pipeline was following the railroad very closely. And by sending people on the ground, we were able to confirm that there was indeed a pipeline leak, a pipeline that was ruptured there. So we contacted the utility that was responsible for the pipeline. And then very quickly, this was fixed, and it was confirmed, mitigated in our imagery later on, where we could no longer see that leak, very kind of prominently, very obviously in our imagery. So that confirmed that the actions that were taken on the ground had been successful. So this is a very small microcosm, like an example of how the technology can be used to identify a leak of methane that could be very damaging to the environment, but also can be very dangerous to residents, because methane is the main component of natural gas. If it ignites, it could cause an explosion. So there's many reasons outside of the damage to the environment to mitigate these leaks. And this is a true sort of shining example of how useful the technology can be to identify these opportunities for mitigations so that action can be taken on the ground very swiftly.
Can you talk a bit about challenges with implementing the technology? And then you mentioned policies. So what do you think needs to change to make the tech, more implemented than it is today?
The policies are changing. The regulations have been evolving around the world considerably in the last 5 years, I would say, but certainly in the last 2 or 3 years, where the United States, Canada, the European Union come up with very clear regulations on how methane should be addressed. The European Union went a step further than everyone else by demanding that the emissions from the entire value chain be measured and be accounted for. So, for example, if gas is imported into European countries, the emissions at the extraction point, whether this is happening in the US or Algeria or Qatar or anywhere else, need to be measured and taken into account as part of that entire value chain. So this is very novel, very different, and of course, this drives the need for technologies like ours to be adopted and deployed more widely. So satellites are one tool for this. They're not the only tool. There's many different technologies that have evolved significantly over the last 10 years or so. Aircraft technologies, drones, even on the ground in situ technologies, in situ sensors that are very effective. And all these technologies work together to provide a full view of emissions. Now, the advantage of satellites for this is that they can come back very frequently. So then you can measure emissions not only frequently, but without having to deploy personnel on the ground. So there's no deployment cost. It becomes very easy to do this frequently. And that frequency of monitoring becomes very important because many of those emissions are what we call intermittent. So they come and go. They're not constantly happening. So if you only measure once in a while, you don't fully get the picture. You don't really know where to prioritize action. So regulations working together with all these new technologies that are available. But right now, there's no doubt that technologies are ready. Technologies are here. It's no longer a question of how do we solve this problem. It becomes a question of how do we put this data to work. And sometimes it is companies and operators being active, being very proactive at doing the right thing because they've set their own goals. Other times it is regulations in different jurisdictions that can drive this. And other times it might be shareholders and stakeholders in the company that demand action, demand that a certain performance, a certain goal be achieved. For example, many companies have now professed the objective to go net zero by 2050, for example. So now they must report on their progress. It's no longer sufficient to have one line in your annual report that says we care about emissions. We need to show progress against these goals, and the deployment of measurement technologies like ours becomes very crucial in order to show progress against these goals.
So since this is a short conversation and basically an introduction to what you guys are doing, can you tell our audience where they can explore more and reach out?
So we have a lot of information on our website, but we have a platform called Spectra, where our data can be visualized, and this is the platform we use for our customers, of course, where they can access it, they can visualize the data, they can select the timeline over which they want to see emissions. But we also use Spectra to allow everyone, the general public, anyone can sign up for access and see examples around the world. And we update this on a weekly basis with new examples of landfills, of coal mines around the world, of oil and gas sites, showing the emissions and where they take place, so that there could be a better understanding and awareness of the fact that, first of all, there are emissions around the world taking place, but where they are coming, what sectors they're coming from. So that's definitely a good starting point to a discussion for anyone to sign up for a Spectra account, and a free Spectrum account, I should say, and start exploring like that.
Thank you, Jean-François, for being my Spotlight guest.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for watching New Perspective Spotlight series. If you like our content, please consider subscribing to our social media channel and follow our podcast on your favorite streaming platform. Thanks.